Welcome back to the Roger Report, where we dive headfirst into the stories that are shaking up the world. The news cycle is moving at warp speed, and if you're not plugged in, you're missing out. Today, we've got a packed show with updates you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Let's get right into it and see what's happening right now. First up, a figure known for his dominance in the octagon is making waves far beyond the sport. He's traded his gloves for a new kind of fight, aiming for a very different kind of championship. We're talking about a legendary athlete potentially setting his sights on the highest office in his homeland. This is a story that's sparking huge debate and has everyone asking, is this a real possibility or just another chapter in an already legendary career? And speaking of legendary careers and rivalries, the echoes of one of the most intense feuds in combat sports history might be getting louder. A bold proposal has emerged that could reignite old flames and offer a unique path to settling scores. Could this be the ultimate backdoor play for a rematch that many thought was impossible? We've got the details on this fascinating development that's got the fight world buzzing. Finally, we're diving back into the political arena with a look at how this same larger-than-life personality is riling up a nation with powerful speeches and a controversial platform. From the streets of Dublin to the global stage, this story is packed with passion, politics, and a whole lot of controversy. You won't want to miss these unmissable updates. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a moment. From Octagon warrior to Ireland's potential leader. The world of sports is no stranger to athletes transcending their fields, but this latest chapter for one iconic fighter is raising eyebrows and igniting debate on an unprecedented scale. Conor McGregor, the name synonymous with explosive knockouts and a larger-than-life persona in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, is now making headlines for a far more politically charged ambition: a bid for the presidency of Ireland. This bold move has sent ripples through both the sports and political arenas, sparking discussions about celebrity influence, national identity, and the very nature of political candidacy. McGregor's journey from the gritty streets of Dublin to the pinnacle of mixed martial arts is a narrative that has captivated millions. Known globally as the Notorious, his ascent in the UFC was meteoric. He shattered records, becoming the first fighter in the organization's history to simultaneously hold championship belts in two different weight classes. His 13-second knockout of Jose Aldo in 2015 is etched in MMA lore as one of the most astonishing displays of power and precision, while his subsequent victory over Eddie Alvarez to claim the lightweight title further cemented his legendary status. Even current UFC featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski has acknowledged McGregor's groundbreaking impact, recently noting that McGregor was ahead of his time and single-handedly elevated the sport's global profile to unprecedented heights. This legacy of dominance and charisma has undeniably built a massive platform, one that he now appears intent on leveraging for a political career. The announcement of his presidential aspirations has, predictably, generated a maelstrom of reactions. Supporters see it as a refreshing, anti-establishment challenge to the traditional political landscape, viewing McGregor as a voice for the people who can bring a much-needed shake-up to Irish governance. They point to his business acumen and his ability to connect with a broad audience as key strengths. Critics, however, are far more skeptical, questioning whether a career in combat sports adequately prepares anyone for the complexities of national leadership. Concerns are being raised about his temperament, his past controversies, and whether his fame is enough to overcome the significant hurdles of political campaigning and governance. Political analysts are divided, with some suggesting his populist appeal could resonate with a disillusioned electorate, while others predict that his lack of political experience and controversial public image will prove insurmountable obstacles. The debate is fierce, reflecting the polarizing nature of McGregor himself and the significant questions his candidacy poses for the future of Irish politics. But is this political ambition the only major move McGregor has on his mind? We'll explore a surprising proposal that could reignite one of the most bitter rivalries in combat sports history. A clever proposal to settle old scores. The lightweight division of the UFC has long been a stage for intense rivalries and dramatic showdowns, and now, a fascinating new proposition has emerged that could potentially bring a legendary, albeit indirect, rematch into play. Brazilian fighter Mauricio Ruffi has extended a unique invitation to none other than Conor McGregor to join his corner for a future title fight against the dominant Islam Makhachev. This move has reignited hopes among fans for a second chapter, however unconventional, in the bitter feud between McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov, through a strategic alliance against Khabib's protege and teammate. The history between McGregor and Nurmagomedov is one of the most infamous in UFC annals. Their clash at UFC 229 in October 2018 was a seismic event, culminating in Nurmagomedov's submission victory over McGregor in the fourth round. The fight itself was overshadowed by an explosive post-fight brawl that extended into the crowd, leading to significant suspensions for both fighters and leaving a bitter taste for many fans. Nurmagomedov's subsequent undefeated retirement in 2020 seemed to close the door on any possibility of a direct rematch. However, Islam Makhachev has since ascended to the top of the lightweight division, embodying the same fighting style and representing the same Dagestani team that proved so challenging for McGregor. Ruffi's proposal strategically targets this lineage, offering McGregor a chance to confront the legacy of his most significant rival through a proxy. Mauricio Ruffi, a 29-year-old Brazilian contender, is not merely making a publicity stunt. He has been steadily climbing the lightweight ranks since his UFC debut and is set to face Benoit Saint-Denis at UFC Fight Night. Imava vs Boralho. Ruffi, who has openly admired McGregor's charisma and striking prowess, even drawing comparisons to the Irishman's peak form, sees this as an opportunity born from inspiration. He stated in an interview with Full Send MMA, "Conor McGregor can corner me and get his rematch with Khabib when I fight Islam Makhachev." Ruffi credits McGregor as a significant influence on his own fighting development and views a potential Makhachev fight as the perfect stage for McGregor to achieve symbolic retribution against the team that ended his lightweight reign. This proposal cleverly taps into the unresolved narrative from their 2018 encounter, presenting the next best thing to a direct rematch. McGregor has yet to publicly comment on Ruffi's intriguing offer. The timing, however, is noteworthy, coinciding with McGregor's increasing focus on his political aspirations in Ireland. With his fighting future uncertain, grappling with legal issues, and a presidential campaign, Ruffi's invitation presents a low-risk proposition for McGregor to maintain relevance in the combat sports world without the physical demands of a professional bout. It's a strategic move that plays on McGregor's history and fan base, offering a narrative thread that could captivate audiences while he navigates his new path. While the fight world speculates on McGregor's potential return, his political ambitions are already making significant noise back home. We're heading to Dublin next for a look at his fiery speech and campaign promises. A presidential bid ignites Ireland, McGregor's fiery speech. Conor McGregor, a figure renowned for his audacious confidence and electrifying presence within the UFC, is now channeling that signature swagger into the political arena of his homeland. The former two-division champion recently galvanized a crowd in Dublin with a passionate address, officially announcing his aspirations for the Irish presidency. This marks yet another dramatic turn in a career already defined by its unpredictability and high-profile moments, positioning McGregor as a potentially disruptive force in Irish politics. McGregor's foray into public discourse beyond the octagon is not unprecedented. Throughout his illustrious career, from his rise as a featherweight contender to becoming the first fighter in UFC history to hold titles in 2 weight classes simultaneously, he has consistently commanded attention through bold statements and controversial actions. His remarkable journey from a humble plumber's apprentice in Dublin to becoming one of the world's highest-earning athletes is a testament to his ambition and drive, and his presidential bid appears to be the latest grand ambition in this extraordinary life story. During his address outside the government buildings on September 4, 2025, McGregor didn't shy away from sharp criticism of Ireland's current socioeconomic conditions. He painted a stark picture, highlighting issues such as rising homelessness, a perceived decline in tourism, and widespread public discontent with the incumbent government. His rhetoric resonated with many citizens who feel alienated by traditional political structures. McGregor, who has not competed in the UFC since 2021 due to various setbacks, presented himself as a decisive leader promising tangible action rather than mere rhetoric. He declared, "Citizens of Ireland, the time for real change is now. As president, I will not sign any bill in law until it goes back to the people first. If you want to see my name on the ballot for the presidency, I urge you to contact your local county councilors today and ask them to nominate me. If you want to vote for McGregor, it starts now. Call your local councilor today and demand change." This direct appeal aimed to mobilize public support and circumvent established political channels. However, McGregor's path to the presidency is fraught with significant challenges. Critics have publicly questioned whether celebrity status alone is a sufficient qualification for such a high office. The process for securing a place on Ireland's presidential ballot is rigorous, requiring nominations from either 20 members of the Oireachtas, Parliament, or 4 local authorities. Despite McGregor's claims of support from various councils and political figures, no official nominations have been formally recorded to date. He has actively campaigned for changes to these nomination requirements, arguing through an online petition launched in August that they unfairly restrict access for ordinary citizens wishing to run for office. Adding another layer of complexity, McGregor's political ambitions are unfolding against a backdrop of ongoing legal challenges. A recent court ruling found him liable for assault stemming from an incident in 2018, and his subsequent appeal was unsuccessful earlier this year. These legal entanglements could potentially complicate his presidential bid, forcing voters to weigh his athletic achievements and political platform against his personal controversies. His bold political stance is drawing attention, but it's also leading to some highly controversial statements on the international stage. We're looking at his strong reaction to specific flags being displayed on Irish soil. McGregor's hardline stance: arrests for terrorist flags in Ireland. Conor McGregor, the globally recognized former UFC champion and entrepreneur, has officially declared his candidacy for the Irish presidency, and his campaign is marked by a particularly stringent stance on national security and the display of certain flags. McGregor asserts that any individual waving the flags of Hamas or Hezbollah on Irish soil should face immediate arrest, framing this position as a critical component of restoring national pride and sovereignty. This firm declaration has ignited a polarized debate, with supporters championing his commitment to security and critics raising concerns about civil liberties. McGregor's presidential campaign is built upon a vision centered on revitalizing Ireland's national identity and asserting its sovereignty. He has been vocal in his criticism of the current government's policies regarding immigration and national security, advocating for a platform that unequivocally prioritizes the welfare and security of Irish citizens. A key proposal within his agenda involves a significant overhaul of the electoral system, aiming to empower citizens with a more direct and influential role in shaping legislative decisions. A cornerstone of McGregor's proposed political agenda is a call for substantial constitutional reform. He advocates for a system where no law would be enacted without first securing public approval, a move intended to shift power back to the populace and away from what he perceives as an entrenched and disconnected political establishment. This principle underscores his populist appeal and his promise to represent the people's will directly. The most controversial element of McGregor's platform, however, is his unequivocal opposition to the display of flags associated with organizations designated as terrorist groups, specifically naming Hamas and Hezbollah. He has publicly and forcefully stated that the act of raising such flags within Ireland should be classified as a serious criminal offense. This hardline position has predictably sparked intense discussion. Supporters laud his resolute stance on national security and his perceived defense of national values. Conversely, critics argue that such a policy could infringe upon fundamental rights of expression and assembly, potentially stifling dissent and alienating certain communities. The debate highlights the tension between national security concerns and the protection of civil liberties in a democratic society. McGregor's remarks have clearly resonated with a segment of the Irish population that harbors anxieties about national security and the country's international positioning. However, opponents contend that his confrontational approach risks exacerbating existing social tensions and could negatively impact Ireland's international relations. The endorsement of billionaire Elon Musk further amplified McGregor's visibility, with Musk citing McGregor's potential to drive significant change in Ireland. Despite the significant hurdles in securing the necessary endorsements, requiring support from at least 20 members of parliament or 4 local authorities, McGregor's campaign has gained considerable traction. This momentum is largely attributed to his direct communication style and his willingness to tackle contentious issues head-on, appealing to voters who feel disenfranchised by traditional political parties. McGregor's presidential bid represents a notable shift in Irish political discourse, injecting a strong populist and nationalist perspective. His firm stance on the display of terrorist organization flags is a defining characteristic of his campaign, underscoring his commitment to national security and sovereignty. The ultimate impact of his candidacy on Ireland's political landscape remains to be seen as the election cycle progresses. And that brings us to the end of our top stories today. Let's quickly recap the biggest news, and then stick around for everything else you need to know. And that's a wrap on today's most talked about stories. We saw Conor McGregor potentially eyeing Ireland's presidency, sparking massive debate. Then, a surprising proposal emerged that could reignite the McGregor versus Khabib rivalry through a unique challenge. We also heard McGregor's fiery speech as he rallies support for his presidential ambitions in Ireland. Finally, we covered his controversial call for arrests over certain flags displayed in Ireland. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the Roger Report for more breaking news and deep dives, and hit that notification bell so you're always in the loop. Let us know your thoughts on these stories in the comments below, and follow us on all social media platforms to join the conversation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.